Welcome to Vision Forward's Tech Connect Live, connecting you to the world of assistive technology. And now, here are your hosts, Corey and Luke.
Hello! I'm solo. We're gonna make sure we're doing this all correctly. I believe that I've hit every button that needs to be hit. I needed a couple extra hands, but I think I got it done. Welcome to Tech Connect Live. Today is Thursday, July 17th, 2025. Now, you might be saying to yourself, Corey, something seems different. Something seems odd. Maybe there's extra space around me. It's because Luke is not in studio today. But never fear, because we will always continue moving forward with Vision Forward's Tech Connect Live. We will never leave you hanging. We know how many people are waiting for us, but I don't want you to disconnect just yet thinking Luke's not here, because I have a special surprise for everybody. We actually have, let me count over, 2 people in virtual guests today, and one of them is Luke. Hello, Luke.
Hello, it's so weird being on this side of the show. Like, I feel like I'm a guest on the show that I'm usually a host on. It's so odd.
You are a guest. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, please, for those that don't know you.
Yeah, my name is Luke. Every 2 weeks I host a show called Tech Connect Live, along with a guy called Corey. And I'm an assistive technology specialist at Vision Forward.
Luke, why are you rolling in on a Mac virtual today? What's going down?
Well, that is a long and sad story. I actually had to log in on my iPhone here because I couldn't manage to get on the Mac. But basically, on the way home yesterday, I got a flat tire, and I had to put the spare on and then drive.
Were you cruising down the expressway when it happened?
I just got onto the interstate.
Okay.
And the tire warning light came on, so I had to change the old tire there, and then drive 60 miles back to Grayslake. Luckily, made it back in one piece. This morning, I took my car to get the tire replaced, only to find out that apparently I need 2 new front tires.
Sure.
And an alignment, and the car's not going to be ready until 4 o'clock. So.
And then you decided to walk home.
I did. So then, for some reason, I thought it would be a good idea to walk home from where I got my my car done back to my house. And turns out it was 6.5 miles, and took quite a long time.
So I didn't know. I just knew what city you were in and what city you were going to, and I asked my phone, and it said it was going to take 3.5 hours to walk. And then I figured out, okay, if that's true, you'd be back about noon and then have to turn around and go right back for your 4 o'clock pickup. So I don't know, are you Ubering back to get your car, or are you going to make the walk?
My executive decision after walking home 6.5 miles was that I will wait until tomorrow and get my wife to drive me to go pick up my car. So.
A good, but it would be pretty epic to put a 13-mile. I mean, that would be some pretty good steps on the old step counter.
Well, I told you that I wanted to walk back in order to get my fitness in for today, but I don't want to be that fit. So.
That's right. Well, now you got your fitness for the whole week, so now you can just do nothing the rest of the week. All right, so I did mention there are 2 special guests. We do have a special guest with us today. It is Joe from Accessibyte. He is not your first rodeo here on Tech Connect Live. Joe, but how are you doing today, sir?
Doing pretty good. Coincidentally, my car's in the shop too, so
no way.
A lot to relate on here.
Did your tire also blow out on the expressway, or you have a different issue going on?
Oh, a different issue altogether, unfortunately. Or maybe fortunately. I don't know. That expressway thing sounds pretty rough.
Yeah, I know that. I always worry about that because I think I could probably change the tire if I had to. I've never done one, but I feel like I could figure it out. But that is a fear of mine, to be stranded on the expressway.
It's one of those things where I was like, you often drive down the expressway because I drive down there every day.
Yeah.
And I see people, who've had a blowout at the side of the road, and I always think to myself, I'm glad I'm not them. And then it happened to me. But it turns out that was my first time changing a tire. Turns out it's actually not too hard. So.
All right, I have unmuted producer Jonathan because I am not riding solo. This wouldn't happen this morning if it wasn't for Jonathan getting us all set up. Jonathan, how are you doing today?
Doing well. We got through it. Got live a little late, but I think we're here.
For us, 3 minutes, I consider that on time.
Well, our audience wasted no time.
Good. What we got?
Alicia Green coming in from Rockford, Illinois, wishing everybody a wonderful episode.
Thank you.
Kelly Wakefield.
Kelly.
Yes.
Hi, Kelly.
Hoping that everyone will be enjoying their summer. Also, Shirley Long.
Yes.
She even mentioned me. How interesting.
Oh.
Ewan returns. We had him chime in when we had Alicia Green on, I think, most recently. But yeah, Ewan also gives us some well wishes. And then I've posted the 2 previous episodes that Joe Jorgensen has guest starred.
Wonderful. What's kind of sad is that I believe summer's pretty much half over at this point.
Woohoo.
Already?
Well, mid-July? I mean, I consider Labor Day as sort of the end of summer, right? Kids go back to school.
Hold on. Let me reframe this for you, Corey.
Okay, reframe.
It's not that summer is half over, it's that we are at the height of summer.
Oh, all right. I like that.
Right?
Far to fall.
I like that. I'll take it. That's a half full, the glass is half full kind of guy.
Exactly. All right. It's all
like
about
it.
how you frame it.
I like it. Joe, how's your summer going? Anything exciting?
Oh, there's been too much exciting. I'm ready for it to be slow season.
Okay.
It's summer's supposed to be slow, but it's just been really busy lately, and it's been a little too hot for me.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. The humidity and heat, because you're in Illinois, right? So you're pretty much the same same weather as we are here in Wisconsin. But yeah, tons of rain. But anyways, I suppose we are not here for Midwest Weather Weekly. We are here for an actual topic.
I was here for Midwest Weather Weekly. I just want
What's
to put
that?
that out there. I was here for Midwest Weather.
You were here for Midwest. Okay.
Yeah.
So was I. What are we doing here, guys?
Well, I mean, we could get, you never know. It might change the number of people we get joining us if we just talked about the weather in the Midwest. That would be kind of
People
interesting.
love the weather. People
That's true.
love the weather.
It is a great topic for small talk, right to the weather. But Joe, we have had you on Tech Connect Live before, and as Jonathan mentioned, he had posted... Oh, hello. He had posted a couple links to the previous times. I think the last time you were on was live in California, hanging out at CSUN. He came up to our room to do a quick little overview, and we appreciated that. But today we have invited you back, not just because we like to hang out with you, but Accessibyte has a new product that you've just, have you officially launched it as of today?
We have officially launched it, last week.
Okay. So maybe before we dive into the new Accessibyte Studio, because that's what it's called, correct?
Hold on, Corey. Hold on.
What?
Joe just told you that he launched last week.
Yeah.
And instead of saying, like, congratulations or anything like that, you were just like, okay.
Well, I had something else in my brain at the same time that I was processing. So wait, pause for a moment. Joe, you know what I'd like to say? A huge congratulations. Yay for Joe! All right, that's enough. Cut it off. Congratulations. I know how hard, well, actually, I don't know how hard it is to launch a new software program, but I have to imagine it's not an easy task to do. Plus, once we talk a little bit more and people see how much Accessibyte Studio has in it, they're going to appreciate how much it took for you to get this launched. So big congratulations. Luke, is that enough, Luke? Or do you have anything?
That was probably just about right.
Okay, all right. Do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
And a Happy New Year.
Joe, for those that don't know you or Accessibyte and what you do, why don't you take just a brief second, and you can take 3 seconds if you want, and tell us a little bit about yourself, Accessibyte, and kind of what brought you to your new product.
Sure. I spent 10 years doing all things like blindness related, a lot of AT instruction during that time. Eventually started building out my own apps, which kind of became Accessibyte. Didn't set out with like Accessibyte in mind, just wanted to make some tools that worked for me and the clients I was instructing, and started off with Typio, and then that became an online application. It was originally just for Windows, and then from there a whole bunch of other apps got added to the online platform. Typio, Quick Cards, Accessibyte Arcade, Braillio, Typio Pro, ProPack, which is a bunch of different study tools, and a teacher dashboard. So that's kind of where everything started. And now I'm kind of circling back to some of what really inspired me in the first place to be building these apps. And that's where Accessibyte Studio comes in.
Cool. Congratulations on all of your hard work. Oh, I'm just kidding. I'm feeling like Luke's going to judge me. No matter how I answer any of when you're done now, so I'm gonna go over the top.
Joe, I have to ask you a question because as far as I remember, me and you go back to the old C-Desk days.
We sure do.
Okay, so was it C-Desk that directly inspired you to make Accessibyte Studio?
Oh, there were so many different inspirations and things along the way, but I will definitely say I've been thinking going into this this meeting about our days dabbling with C-Desk and spending a lot of time with that when you were at the Lighthouse and I was at the VA like 12 years ago or something.
It was a scarily long time ago, and for those who are not familiar with C-Desk, and probably nobody is at this point, it was a suite of kind of like productivity programs that were designed to be simple to use and visually accessible and also accessible non-visually as well. And that was released a long time ago. Had a bit of success at first, but then it sadly faded away. So
I think the support help videos is really what pushed it as such a big success.
Why, thank you, Corey. That was me who made those videos.
I think, I don't know if, so those, as Luke mentioned, those might be, if you're not familiar with C-Desk, you might be familiar with Dolphin Connect, Guide Connect. It's also kind of a similar idea. But, I've often thought, and maybe, Joe, this is sort of what your inspiration too was, we work with individuals using a computer either through magnification or a screen reader. And for some individuals, the process of going through the operating system and the different programs and every window is a little bit different, and this is this and this is that. I assume that had some inspiration in you kind of thinking about and creating Accessibyte Studio?
Oh, without a doubt. Like just like a uniformity and a simplicity to a bunch of different apps goes a really long way. like think about when you pick up your iPhone and all like the default apps operate very similarly to each other, and things are in the same location, the same sort of navigation gets you through. Um, to bring that to like a desktop environment, there's not a lot of options for that. So that was a huge part of that.
And so just to be clear, Accessibyte Studio, we basically have a very simple computing experience. So people who maybe struggle with using their computer regularly would benefit from this. And there's so many different apps you've got going on here, Joe. It honestly is kind of mind-blowing. I'm going to read out the list here. You can tell me if I missed anything. So we have a notes app, an internet app for web browsing, a YouTube app, a books app, where you can read and manage digital books. We have an email app. We have a podcasts app, a weather app, a news app for aggregating news headlines, an audio recorder app, a calendar app, to-do list, a calculator app, a dictionary, encyclopedia/Wikipedia app. We have some help user manuals, a documents app, a OCR app for reading aloud printed text, contacts app, file management app, and then there are some settings and things like that as well. There is a lot going on here.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff packed into Accessibyte Studio, and as I was describing it the other day to somebody, this is like the worst and lowest featured this app will ever be. There's so much more like coming as well, not just with each of these different apps being built upon, but other new apps being added also. But yeah, it does all those things just in a really simple way, with just kind of like a list on the screen. You arrow through with the up and down arrows. Accessibility is built in, so it's self-voicing.
Nice.
Easy visuals, all the stuff you would imagine. But more than that, you can disable that stuff and then use outside assistive tech like JAWS, Zoom Text, you name it. So it really bridges a gap there where you can have this application like take over your desktop, be like an all-in-one app that you might be using just for like a simpler experience on the computer. It boots up with your computer and you shut your computer down with it. Or you can run it like in a windowed mode, like any other application,
nice.
and kind of bounce around with like, JAWS. Like let's say, you're using JAWS, you're doing these things in the Windows environment, but maybe Outlook ain't so easy for email, and like going to Gmail in the browser, even with like the key commands, is just kind of annoying. Well, you can use Accessibyte Studio just for like the email component, and so it really lets you kind of pick what you want, and it follows users from like the whole spectrum of skill and need.
Yeah. That's a good point. I think there is a cool opportunity for those who might be like, hey, I'm comfortable using JAWS for some of my basic tasks, but I would love a to-do list or a podcast or a news or weather aggregator, whatever it might be, and then knowing that they have that accessible option in Studio if they want, and not have to live in Accessibyte Studio, although they, like you said, they totally could. It could be your first run experience, or just jump in and use those accessible programs that, maybe you just, like you said, maybe Outlook's tough for you, or a to-do list, doing it in Outlook just doesn't make sense, whatever it might be.
Yeah, in developing it, I was using Studio a lot for listening to podcasts and like using the radio module, just, have that kind of minimized while I'm doing other things. So it definitely works well, with that sort of thing.
It's always a good sign when a person is a user of their own product. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it really is a good sign.
They create it and they're like, this is garbage. I'm not using it. Someone else might, but I'm not going to.
Not me, those suckers. No. It's good. With it, this is like the app that I really wanted when I was an AT instructor,
nice.
for a whole bunch of reasons. One was, Luke, we spent so much time assessing so many different applications that, the vets at the VA may have been instructed on. And, along the way, obviously I'm like looking at stuff, I got my hands on it, I know about tech, I'm thinking of other things. And then, as I transitioned to doing more development, more ideas came to me. But, it was tough as an instructor. I would walk into a room and I would be teaching like high-end JAWS Windows stuff. And then the next minute, I had maybe 5 minutes to transition and like cycle my brain into doing a really simple application.
Yeah.
Or then switching over to Mac and just like back and forth all the time with all these things. And I just thought, what if like my guys who are learning the simpler tools and my guys who are learning the more complex tools were learning the same thing and getting the same sort of thing accomplished? I think it helps me as an instructor just keep my head on straight and have less that I gotta like focus on and learn. And also, those two guys can then have like more of a conversation. You know, there was like this huge chasm. And when I was at the VA, the guys, they stayed there. They were there for like 6 weeks. They spent a lot of time together. They ate meals together. They spent downtime together. And not always, not often, but sometimes there become this thing where it was like this hierarchy. Like if you were using JAWS or using some other tool, like, you know, one was like better or more advanced than the other. And, you know, however you want to break this stuff down, like there are times where somebody didn't feel good about that and it didn't need to be the case. And I think this kind of really helps flatten that out even further, so it is not the case.
So interesting. That's so interesting, Joe. And also, you know, in the scenario where you're talking about at the VA, where these people are staying there and kind of interacting with each other and stuff, you know, there's an opportunity for them to be able to help each other as well. If they're all operating on the same software, they can all become instructors, you know, in a sense, and create a community around that. So yeah, that's a fantastic idea.
There's such a cool opportunity too for people to focus on. I almost could see it as a great transition tool. You know, if you are new to a computer, you've never used one before, and let's just say you're a screen reader user, because I truly feel that adds a whole nother layer of complexity to learning the computer. You're not just learning the screen reader, you're learning each program, you're learning all of these different troubleshooting concepts. And so I could definitely see a benefit to starting everybody on something like Studio, where you can focus on truly sort of learning the screen reader, learning common tasks and terminology, and then taking those tools and transitioning away from Studio if that is something you'd want to do.
Oh, absolutely. And that's like a huge part of it. And that's the thing I've been talking to a lot of different like instructors about is it can be a screen reader training tool because like you said, when you're learning like a screen reader or magnification program, that's not the only thing you're learning. You're like picking up every single part of the computer. It's a lot. Like it is a ton of stuff to know. But if you can get somebody up and running in Accessibyte Studio, let's say you're using the included accessibility, all they need is up, down, enter, and optionally like escape. There's other commands you can do too. They get familiar in this environment and actually get a ton done. It does just about everything you need to do on the computer. Then let's say you back off on the included accessibility and you start teaching those screen reader commands within this environment they're already familiar with. Well, then they start learning that, and then you like venture outside into all the other applications. It's like a great bridge. And even without outside assistive tech tools, a lot of what is done in Studio, again, it's just the arrow keys, everything's present, but there are keyboard commands, and all the help files show this, and they are like identical to the same commands that you would be doing in similar applications like Word or Outlook.
Sure.
So a lot of this is like stepping stone material to move on to other things if you needed to, or you could just stay here.
Yeah. I mean, I almost feel like, again, from a screen reader standpoint, and actually, I take that back. It's for magnification too, but it almost feels like the first few weeks of training is the time when the person needs to be motivated and engaged the most, and you're doing the least interesting stuff. You know, people, you know what I mean? People immediately want to be doing email. They want to be going online, but yet you're like, oh, hold on. We've got weeks, sometimes a month or more of foundation training we have to put in first. And then you send them home and they're like, all right, I want you to practice going to your desktop and opening a program. And like, it's so boring. And so I could see a solution like this, getting people into what they want to do quicker, get them motivated. And again, a big piece of a screen reader user, especially those that are just learning, is using your ears, listening to what the computer is saying. Because if you had vision prior, you never developed that skill to listen to what the screen reader says. And so having Studio, you know, even the self-voicing piece of it, again, Now you're focusing on training your brain to listen and getting into emailing, and like I said, then being able to take that and transition away if you choose to. So I
Let's
think
say it also gives you an opportunity to start to learn some of the terminology, because if you're not familiar with a lot of the computer terminology, like it can really be quite overwhelming. There's a lot of kind of different things that you have to learn there, and so this is kind of like a safe space, if we will, to kind of start to learn some of that terminology, and then you can kind of take that onto the wider computer environment if you want to do that.
Oh, for sure. I'm looking at some files right here. I'm pulling up. So one of the things with Accessibyte Studio is in the help files. I'm seeing if it made it in this first build or it's coming in the next update. Okay, it'll be like the second. Is within the help files, which are like super detailed. I put a lot of work into them because I wanted to make sure like instructors just could pull those up on the website and then they know what they're doing. I want to make sure the users can pull them up in the app and know what they're doing. But one of the help files is just all about different tech terms, getting familiar with like the things you might be hearing. Even if Studio keeps things simple, they're going to come up. You're going to hear it, especially if you're navigating the internet. And, a lot of that also links to Typio, Accessibyte's typing tutor, which is kind of where a lot of Accessibyte or all of Accessibyte started. And even in that application, like especially in Typio Pro, which is meant for like teens and adults, you're typing a lot of technology terms. You're typing a lot of things that you might actually be typing, like emails and resumes and things. So, I try to make sure things stay practical and stay really simple, but also like really powerful and usable. And again, to your point, Luke, about, and Corey too, things in the beginning being kind of boring. With Studio, literally, which is up, down, and enter, and maybe a little bit of instruction. You can tell somebody like arrow down to podcast, hit enter. Arrow down to browse, hit enter. Find the one you want, hit enter, knock yourself out. You now have like the entire world of like recorded podcasts to listen to as like a starting point. Like that's pretty good.
And for some people, that's enough. For some people, that is just their goal. I want to listen to a couple of podcasts. Maybe I want to read an email and send it. I'm not interested in anything else. And that, Studio can support that. Or you've got someone who says, no, I want to get online. I want to do calendar. I want to do contacts. Great. It sounds like Studio can support that if you want to.
Yeah, Joe,
for sure.
One of CDesk's features back in the day was, speech recognition. How well it worked, we will let the public decide for themselves. But
contacts. I said contacts.
You're giving me PTSD flashbacks here, Corey.
Don't call support.
Yeah, exactly. It was, it was one of the touted features. Now, I don't know that necessarily voice control is something which is necessary, because it's probably simple enough to navigate Accessibyte Studio just using the arrow keys and enter and stuff. But how about dictation? Is that an option within the program if you want to dictate a Word document or an email or something like that?
It's not in this initial build, but that's actively being worked on. So dictation is part of it. There's like so much coming, especially within like the first 6 months. There's going to be a lot of updates really quick. And dictation is certainly one of those, because, it's kind of just a part of the tech world now. Obviously, typing is such an important skill. Keyboard navigation is an important skill. But we don't need to like limit ourselves to things, if we can make it easier, we should. Also, some people aren't going to be typing, for any reason. So we got to make sure that's covered too.
I wonder, Jonathan, I want to unmute your mic. I'm just curious if you've got anything in the comments that you want to add, or any questions?
Nothing on topic, but in case we want to circle back to it, we have more discussion about Steam, and specifically Steam Link, I think.
Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, Steam and gaming isn't something that this channel covers, unfortunately, but that doesn't mean maybe someday in the future we might not come across it. But great. If those that are watching, please feel free to drop comments, questions in that old comment box down there, and we'll make sure that we grab them. I'm curious, Joe, if you have any in roadmap, if there's any thought of adding some AI capability in, what I think is like, I work with, and Luke, I would assume you could probably say the same. We work with some clients where, there is other issues besides vision loss, maybe some issues with spelling and grammar and things like that. And so I could see some possibility of some AI inside the email where maybe it helps, you type out an email and it helps sort of clean it up and make it whatever. I'm just curious what your thoughts are with AI, if there's any roadmap there for it.
Oh, sure. I think every bit of tech is going to be touched by AI going forward. Especially like coding all day, like it's just a huge part of things now. This kind of brings 2 points together here. So we talked earlier about having like some people, being set just doing certain things in on the computer, like maybe they just stick with podcasts and email.
Yeah.
Studio kind of takes that into consideration, and an example of that is there's the Notes application, and there's also Documents. Documents isn't in this first build, but it's coming right around the corner. So obviously one's a little simpler, and the other one's a little more robust. So I want to make sure people are covered in whichever they need. They don't they don't have to learn like a real complicated Documents module, which isn't all that complicated, but Notes is like super easy. That said, in Documents, one of the things that I really wanted to bring together, and this was like a really early idea, and this will tie to AI. Initially, it's not going to run with AI, but I don't want to speak too far ahead, but
Sure.
There's plans. So you can spell check, you can do all your formatting of like the text size and all this stuff, but there's a magic edit feature, and what that does is it just like unifies the whole document. It makes sure that like you can like preset what you want those settings to be.
Sure.
And then it's going to make sure all the text is like evenly spaced. It's all sized the same way, colored the same way. Spell check goes in.
That's nice.
It gets rid of any weird spaces and stuff like that, all with like one button press.
Yeah.
And so that's just something that's been a lot went into the algorithm to do that kind of like it's programmatically, but manually, there's not AI involved. But that is a feature where like immediately because I started working on that before AI was what it is now. That's clearly a spot where it's like, oh yeah, AI would be great for that.
That's such a cool feature. I mean, I consider myself a pretty advanced screen reader user, but those things like you just mentioned, some of those simple formatting things, you just don't know sometimes as a screen reader, unless you've really customize your screen reader to be super advanced in the editing and know all the spacing. I mean, that's such a brilliant idea. That's really cool.
Yeah, you know what though? What's going to happen though? People are going to be using Studio, and they're going to be using that feature in the word processor all the time, and then they'll have to start using Microsoft Word, and then they're going to be like, "Where's the magic edit button?"
Yeah. Well, you can buy it from Accessibyte if you'd like to. Microsoft would love to license the technology.
Seriously.
Well, there's a good bridge because you can also do all those things individually, manually, just like you would in Microsoft.
Yeah,
where like like your Control D and all that stuff, or whatever. So there's those options too. But so the big thing when it comes to AI is nowadays you gotta like find like a pricing structure that works because there's ongoing costs with running AI.
Yeah.
And so in this first initial run, like Accessibyte Studio, it just has to get, settled in, kind of find its place. And then there's going to be options for a lot of those things.
It's amazing what you have put in a, if we want to call it a 1.0 release, it's from the list that Luke read. I think that's amazing how much you've put in just to a first run product, knowing that you're going to continue to add more to it. It's going to continue to
And it should be
develop.
pointed out as well that people who are purchasing a license for this are getting free updates as well. So as new features roll out, then everybody should be getting those, right, Joe?
So there's free updates during like the license period.
Yes.
The licenses are like perpetual SMA licenses. So you buy it once, you get to use it forever, but you get updates for however long the license is, and then you can extend that out over time and redo it. And then eventually, we'll have other pricing models as well, like just a standard like lower cost ongoing subscription, things like that. But to start, we're just kind of going with like the tried and true buy once, have it forever SMA renewals for the updates. All the initial purchases, it's 18 months of updates. We will have all of our key features done. There's only 3 that didn't get included, and they're mostly done. I just pulled them last minute because I thought they need a little more polish.
Sure.
And so those will definitely be out well within 18 months. And the roadmap of things that are going to be added to this application is pretty good. Like, there's a lot of tricks up Accessibyte Studio's sleeve.
That's
The
cool.
main question, of course, Joe, is in your word processor, are you going to have a version of Clippy? Because that's what we all need.
I knew you were going to ask that. No, there's no Clippy.
We call him Blinky and bring it back.
Yeah, there you go. There you
No,
go.
no Clippy. I don't want
No
that guy.
Clippy? That's a shame. That's sad.
Joe, I'm curious your sort of philosophical opinion on this. One of the I don't know if it's a challenge or barrier, but we do a lot of work with vocational rehab clients, and obviously any client you're working with that has been, here through Voc Rehab, the goal is employment, and that's all Voc Rehab will support, any service, device, blah, blah, blah. I've often thought for a lot of our DVR clients, a solution like Accessibyte Studio would be perfect for them. How do you, what is your thoughts, or how do you justify to a Voc Rehab counselor that this sort of software, even though it's not used in business, how can this still be a supporting their employment goal?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. Vocation is definitely on my mind too. It's why Typio Pro came out, to bridge from, like the standard version of Typio, which has typing pets, more for a younger audience, or young at heart. Typio Pro, you're typing, things to like get into the workplace. And a lot of the Typio Pro lessons, like the resumes, customer service emails, tech terms, some of those came directly from people that were saying, hey, we're using this as an assessment to see who's going to get into this program where we're training people to do customer service. I said, all right, well, what are you actually having them type?
Sure.
Let's put that into the application. So, it's like real practical stuff to get people working.
Joe, just quickly talking about that, because I'm working with Typio Pro with a client at the moment, and I noticed that some of the sentences that they're typing are influenced by Breaking Bad. And so I was wondering if there are other shows which are being referenced in those sentences as well that I'm not picking up on. I'm guessing probably yes.
Oh yeah, my whole life is referenced within everything that I create, and a lot of it people wouldn't know because you don't know the names or like the in jokes. I try to keep it subtle. Breaking Bad, I thought maybe I shouldn't be putting like Hank and Walter in these things because they're kind of violent guys, but I figured it's Typio Pro. I'll have some fun. But
I liked it.
yeah, there's some Twin Peaks references in there, and this bunch of random stuff. A lot of the names are like colleagues and family members, things like that.
That's fun.
That's
I like
good.
it.
But yeah, so to go back to like Accessibyte Studio as a vocational tool, well, first off, it's built for like productivity. Like there's a lot of entertainment stuff in there, like YouTube, books, podcasts, you name it. But ton of productivity. So we're talking like contacts, emails, documents, to-do lists, things along those lines. So that's like kind of a clear plugin for getting like work done, vocational stuff. It also runs in line with all the other applications. So depending on how this user is interfacing with a general computer, like if they're using a screen reader, Accessibyte Studio may just be like another productivity tool that they're using like underneath that. Or depending on what they're doing, they could probably get it done just within Accessibyte Studio. Sure. So it's simple. The big thing there is like here's like a direct situation. You're a screen reader user. Let's say right now you're a Accessibyte Studio user, and you're like on the phone, and you're like trying to like get through the computer to do stuff. The less you have to manage with that application, the simpler you're going to be able to manage and juggle all these things and like get the job done.
Yeah.
It's always tough doing tech and talking and thinking ahead and all at the same time.
That is
so
such you're right.
Yeah, the simpler the application, the simpler that process will be.
We talked about learning at the beginning, learning to listen to what your screen reader says, and that's so important. But after that, then becomes the listening to your computer and listening to other people talking, or you start to take in multiple audio sources at once and filter them in your brain. Like that is a whole nother skill that develops. And so you're right, the less you have to be doing while on a customer service call or whatever it might be, You're right. That's absolutely awesome.
Yeah, and if everything's streamlined, like you're kind of navigating the same way within all apps within Accessibyte Studio, it really quickly becomes reflex. It's muscle memory versus like you're getting work done and you're juggling like Excel and Word and Outlook and all these different things. You're kind of retooling your brain every time you switch apps, which we can all do. It's a lot of work. Let's make it easy.
Remind me, I've got a question about Braille display in just a moment, but Jonathan, you are unmuted, sir, because you have a comment for us.
I do. It is from Erin, and it regards once document use is added, she wants to know if the documents that are created in Studio are easily shareable via email, Google Docs, or
Great
Microsoft
question.
Word.
Yeah, very good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is very good. So there's going to be some stages to the rollout with some of these things. The initial documents module, you can save those documents just as like a standard like Accessibyte Studio like text document, or like a Microsoft Word document, or Pages, or a PDF. So when you're working on it, you can save it in any of those formats so somebody else on a different sort of system can work with it. As far as sharing it, email, that's one of the three that's rolling out very soon, and that's one that's getting most active work. You can send it as an attachment that way. As far as like Google Drive and like all that cloud support, I don't want to say anything definitively just because I end up putting myself in a corner, but
Give us a release date.
yeah, I don't have a release date, but you can rest assured that like that sort of like cloud stuff, that sort of connectivity is absolutely on the roadmap.
That's cool.
Because I think that will really help streamline a lot of that, that exact need, sharing those files.
And it brings that professional, being in the workplace too, being able to share it with colleagues and stuff. So that's cool. Good.
Now, Joe, I know that obviously we've talked a little bit about Typio here. So this is your typing program, and obviously typing is the foundation of computer use, particularly if you are relying on the screen reader. So my question to you is, if somebody has Typio, can they directly integrate it into Studio so they can launch it from within the Studio environment?
Yeah, that's a good question. So right now there's an option for it, and there's an even better option coming soon. So currently you can go into the browser in Accessibyte Studio, go to accessibyte.com and log in, and then just set that as a bookmark. And then you can access Typio from within Studio or any of the other Accessibyte online applications that you have. But Accessibyte is like cooking right now. There's so much going on behind the scenes. So Studio, we had a lot of releases this summer. So Studio just came out, so that's a big one. Quick Cards, which is our flashcard app, part of our online apps, that's getting a huge update that's coming out any day now. I just gotta finish the deck editor. It's so tedious, but that's coming out any day now. And then at the same time, the whole online system, like our licensing, our sale, our teacher dashboard is being reworked, and that's coming to a close too. When that all comes together, we will then work on unifying everything. So like you have Studio, you basically just like log in versus go to the browser and do all this stuff. And if you have Typio, if you have Quick Cards, if you have Accessibyte Arcade, they just then show up within the Studio list of apps. But so to bring it back around to like the straight answer, right now you can do it through the Studio browser, and in the future it will be integrated.
All right.
We did not recognize all of your accomplishments that you listed this summer. So yay, way to go!
Joe, you are a very busy guy.
Yeah, you are. Jeez.
I don't know how you're coping with all this, but yeah, it sounds like a lot.
Oh yeah, I've got so much that I've been working on, and it's all good stuff though. Like as we were starting up our chat, I already cut ground on the Accessibyte Studio update that I'm going to be, or not Studio, Accessibyte Arcade update, and it goes back to something you had mentioned in passing so many years ago, Luke. You probably don't even remember this passing comment, but I was talking about making games, and you had asked like, "Oh, you're going to make like a full-fledged like World of Warcraft RPG?" And I was like, "Someday." And so it's not going to be World of Warcraft, but I've been working on some really, really robust games for
That's awesome.
probably about a year. Accessibyte Arcade will get its it's big update, and it's gonna be big. It's gonna be like huge. So yeah, I'm been very busy. I'm like always got like 4 projects going, but you kind of ebb and flow on which one you're focused on at the moment. And right now, Studio is like
Studio's
out.
in.
And it's in that fun phase where people just got to use it and let me know how it's working, what they're doing with it, what they want out of it. So I kind of get to let it like sit for a little bit.
So, Joe, how can people go about trying it out for themselves?
Oh yeah, go to the Accessibyte website and click products and then Accessibyte Studio. I need to update the homepage because right now it focuses entirely on the online apps, but very shortly it'll say right at the top like Accessibyte offers, these different channels of applications, Accessibyte Studio, Accessibyte Online, Typio. But yeah, you can go there, check out the free trial. And then one cool thing too is, I should mention this, I get a lot of instructors in different agencies and teachers that say, hey, I trialed your product and it was great, but every year I gotta trial it again, or I have students that come and go, all the time. So how do we balance that? It becomes a little tricky. So Accessibyte Studio, when your trial's done, it goes into assessment mode, which offers, you can still navigate the application. It just kind of limits a few things. And so then at any point you could like plop somebody down in front of it and be like, hey, let's assess and see how
That's
it
very
works.
cool.
And then as each round of updates comes out, if anybody has it, like their free trial resets. So they get to check out the new features. So signing up for the trial now is a great idea. You'll get notified as the new stuff gets added so you can test that stuff out too. And at any time, I'm an email away. You go to the Accessibyte website and hit contact. It's coming to me, and I want to know what people want out of these applications. All the good ideas come from people that are using it, instructing it. I just try to like list them all. Literally every idea, every comment, every complaint goes into a file, and I have them all listed. And then as time goes on, kind of curate what works and what doesn't, and what kind of fits the greater theme of everything, and I work that stuff in as best I can.
That's one of the great things about your model is the integration of that feedback, because I know that you've taken a lot of feedback over, since you started working on your own software and integrated a lot of that stuff into your programs. And the fact that you're able to do that is really great because it means you can tailor everything specifically for the people who are using it. So yes, definitely if you are going to download and try this, then you should definitely be providing Joe with some good feedback.
We have just a couple minutes, so Jonathan's got a couple other comments, and then we will wrap up for today.
Well, first things first, Joe takes some comfort that we have a lot of people in the comments appreciating your humor and references, especially in the Typio program.
Nice. I like it.
We also have some important questions. Folks are a little worried that if they don't have full what would you call them, admin privileges for their computers. Like if you're a teacher and you're using your organization system, you can still download and update and do those sorts of things with the Accessibyte Studio, or is that actually something of a barrier? They have some questions about how easy it is to update and change it without being an IT person.
Oh, sure. So having the online platform for years now, I've run into a lot of like these IT related things, all these different systems and organizational like privileges. So going into Studio, all that knowledge came with, and it's like the most minimal privileges needed every step of the way. So you don't need to have admin privileges or anything like that to run or install the application. That said, every organization, every machine that's being managed could be different, and there could be restrictions, but there's none in Studio. Like every step of the way, if it was like does it need elevated privileges or not, we went with not. So nothing for that.
It's great.
Wonderful. All right. Well, we have come to the conclusion of our hour together. It doesn't mean it's the end. It just means it's the end for now. So Jonathan's
Corey,
back on mute.
There's actually something interesting. They must have updated the live stream system because now we have a top 3 list of our commenters for each video.
All right, who's our top 3 for today?
Exciting.
Just a quick little shout out.
Yeah, let's give them a shout out.
Kelly, Aaron, and Ewan.
Wow.
Those 3 were quite dominant in the comment section.
Yeah, that's what I
like to see.
Perfect. We appreciate that's a cool little feature, but Thank you to you three for joining, for adding some comments in that comment box.
I have one real quick question, if we may, before we close up here.
Well, everybody, it's been nice talking. No, I'm just kidding.
Joe, can you run it? Can you run Studio from a thumb drive?
No, you just install it like a standard application.
Okay, just wanted to check.
I had one quick question too. I said I was going to ask you about a Braille display. If you're using built-in accessibility, does it support Braille output at this point?
So I haven't done a ton of testing hands-on with that,
Yeah.
so I don't know. People are gonna have to let me know. But
Sure.
Braille integration, like formally, is also on the roadmap. For this 1.0 release, I have done like 0 compatibility testing.
Gotcha.
on that.
Don't you worry, Joe, because Corey is a grade 1 Braille Pro. He can read his alphabet like you would not believe. And so he's going to do all of
Frontwards,
your
backwards.
testing.
You know what else I know? Is all my 10 numbers too. Because I know my alphabet. No, I was just, as we were talking customer service, there's a lot, of individuals who may be wanting to use a Braille display to take away some of that audio input. So,
For sure.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I say there's definitely some things in the works with like involving like Braille displays and things like that. So stay tuned on that.
That's what I was just going to say. I want to remind everybody that we may be asking questions, and Joe's like, well, not just yet. This is a 1.0 release. It was just released last week. And so I don't want you guys to forget that. Again, I'm totally impressed on how much is released in that first version. And that, like you said, you've got a lot of really cool things up your sleeve, and we'll be excited to stay on top of what Accessibyte Studio is doing, and then invite you back again as you continue to roll out new updates.
That sounds great. I'm so happy that you guys had me.
Thank you very much, Luke. You probably need to start walking, if I'm not mistaken, to get back to your car. Thank you for making your long walk so that you could be back here to join us. Tech Connect Live is not the same without you.
It was my pleasure, and thank you, Joe. It's been a good chat as always, and I look forward to trying out Studio for myself here.
For those that don't know, obviously we have a YouTube channel because you're on it. So way to go. That's step one. We've been releasing a lot of videos lately on iOS 26. We promise that's going to die off. There was a lot going on. Liquid Glass. We just released 2 shorts around Liquid Glass that are pretty funny. Luke has actually dropped his phone in a cup of water because he wanted to update it. Don't ask me why he thought that was a great idea. But head over to youtube.com/vision-tech-connect, and you will be able to see all the cool things we have going on. Luke just filmed a new video Tuesday, on a brand new product that we're not going to tell you what it is just yet. Make sure you watch the channel and you will see this amazing new product dropping in next week Thursday,
yes.
Potentially. Hopefully next week Thursday if all editing and everything goes well.
But don't worry, it's not an Apple product.
It's not an Apple product. You can use an Apple product with it.
Yeah.
We'll say that, but it is not an Apple product. So thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it. Does anybody have any last words before I cut you all off?
Sounds very final.
Yeah.
And boom, final outro slide. All right, thanks everybody. We appreciate it. Joe again. Thanks for coming and joining us.
Bye, guys.
All right,
Bye for now.
bye all.
Thanks for joining us for another Tech Connect Live. If you enjoyed Corey and Luke's antics, be sure to join us next time. For all things Tech Connect, go to vision-forward.org/techconnect.
Yeah.